This graphic is just the start of my presentation, just the start of my project, but it's actually one of the things that I did last. The actual project started with a cup of coffee. Not the whole thing, but the true focus and heart of it began with my slightly jittery fingers clasped around a still too hot cup of fresh brew at Macon. I was sitting at a table with a friend, and she said this: "I love watching people spark." Spark, the way that she used the word, referred to the look in a person's eyes when they're talking about or doing something that they absolutely love. It's the way their faces light up. You might recognize it as the moment in a conversation when someone else brings up a hot button issue that you really care about, and you can finally jump in and say something about it without feeling weird that you're bringing it up again. At the beginning of my freshman year, I got thrown into a TV show that allowed me to meet people from all over Grant County and capture their passion for a wide variety of things, ranging from demolition derbies to bull riding to sledding down a hill on a snow day. Every time I covered a new story for Crossroads, I saw someone spark. So for my senior project, I focused on a specific group of people who have spark, but they don't always get an opportunity to share it. There are a lot of groups like this, but the one I chose was women. Two theories grounded my approach to Let Her Speak, which is the title, Stuart Hall's cultural studies, and Charis Kramer's muted group theory. According to Stuart Hall, many of the characteristics that shape society and culture come from human construction. They're not inherent in the natural order. From this perspective, factors like gender, race, sexuality, and ability and disability really only have meaning in order to arrange culture, to organize it. While there are basic biological differences, of course, between people, they don't matter unless they're framed by a society and they're given importance by people. In the case of gender, it's men who primarily hold the power, bringing us to the concept of hegemony. Men have more power than women in a variety of places, including the workplace, in homes, and in political discourse, among other places. And if we look at Charis Kramer's muted group theory, we see that language is culture-bound. It follows then that whoever has the power in a given culture controls much of the language, and those who do not have the power end up having to adapt to the dominant group's way of communicating, making it harder for them to truly be heard. So, for this theory, I looked at the idea that women are muted. I wanted to give women a platform and a place to talk about those things that they care about, the things that spark their interest. And that could be positive things, could be negative, could be a lot of things. Based on these theories, I developed a project that combined the concept of spark with speaking so that they could get an opportunity and a platform to express that spark. I interviewed a variety of women from different backgrounds, perspectives, and with different passions, and created videos to be published on a website. They ended up being about 2.5 minutes long on average, although I'm planning to publish extended editions of some interviews later, and this is just the beginning, as I'll tell you later. This is an excerpt from one of the videos.
I've grown up in the church. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things that ever conflicted with the church, so that's kind of all I ever did was church-related activities, and I quickly realized that that's just where I belong, and I just have a passion for the church and for its role in the world, and being a part of that is exciting to me, and it's what I know and love. My question to people who don't understand women in leadership or in ministerial leadership is, why would you take half of the entire population of humanity and tell them they can't do something? That goes beyond race, that goes beyond class. That's half of the world that you're telling can't do something.
So you could tell that she's very passionate about women in leadership, and I was so grateful to be able to talk with not just Cassie, but several other women who cared about different topics, and I'm excited to meet even more. So with the process, I set out at the beginning of the semester to try to find a huge range of people. I ended up with 4, because it's hard to get in contact with people, as some of the other presenters have talked about. Hannah's nodding about emails, and they can definitely agree with me on that. I made a lot of phone calls. While many of the interviews that I tried to do didn't end up working out for whatever reason, I was so grateful to be able to introduce myself, get my foot in the door, and hopefully set a precedent for something in the future. Along with the videos, I created a website and wrote short blog posts that related to the topics that interviewees covered. This incorporated much of the research aspect. I was looking up details to fill in these posts, as well as to understand communication theories better. I wanted to see why women didn't have power and how they could use it in their interviews to shed some light on the subject. Each interview went differently. For some, I went in with an agenda and I planned exactly what we were going to discuss, and I thought it was going to be great and they were going to give me the perfect quotes. And for some, the women I talked to said, actually, we're going to take this interview in an entirely different direction. It was a delicate balancing act between letting someone tell their story the way they wanted to, like I originally planned, and letting go of my ego and all of the ideas that I had. I realized that by trying to direct the conversation too much, I was completely missing the point. The editing process took a long time. Picking out specific quotes and telling a story that was concise and understandable, yet that honored their intentions, was difficult, but I loved it. And there's post-production. In addition to shooting and editing the videos and writing blog posts for this website, I decided to make the videos a complete package, including an animated logo, as you saw at the beginning, a color scheme, and lower thirds, which would be the name graphics that come in at the bottom. I made everything by myself from scratch in Illustrator and Premiere and Audition and After Effects and everything. And I'm glad I did, because creating something in a medium that you're kind of familiar with makes you really familiar very fast. I need to thank the powers that be at Google and on the Adobe help boards, because without that, I would still be stuck trying to make one thing animate on a keyframe. I have some screenshots that you can see of the website and some of the editing, as well as all of the rendering files. That's all on December 4th, so that was just me trying to get a final version of one of the projects, and I could have taken a screenshot of the whole page, but I decided to spare you that. My computer files live on forever. So this project that started with a conversation over Macan doesn't end there. It continues with more good conversations, not just from me, but from you and from anyone else that you encounter. I plan on launching officially the website letherspeak.squarespace.com in the spring semester, starting in January 2016, and I wanted to make it a platform where women can tell their stories and speak their voice and tell about their spark. And I'll be conducting a social media campaign as well. So please check out letherspeak.squarespace.com and be watching your Facebook, because I'll be there. Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you.